Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Leal in this incarnation. Well, I am here today to talk about Saturn in Pisces because, as I said so in the video of the new moon in Gemini, it is participating of that configuration in attention with the new moon. But also Venus and the Sun, both of them are going to perfect their squares, their tensions on June 8th and on June 9th, the Sun. So we are going to feel this increment, this energy increasing. And I wanted to talk about this because, well, with Saturn, something that I mentioned before many times is that we could experiment these limitations or these obstacles, and there is a tendency, for the human egos to feel separated from experiences, so I'm going to talk about that. And I wanted to put an example to understand this better, because Saturn is the same planet, that is showing us where we need to put a healthy boundary, where we need to generate structures. But those boundaries and those structures are in order to move forward to unity. They are not in order to make us feel separated, because separation is linked with Satan, a satanization. I am going to explain this with a very, very simple example. Let's suppose that my hand is in pain. So I start to focus on my hand, not because I think that is separating from my body, but because I am trying to understand from where that pain is coming from. What is my soul trying to manifest through that pain? So let's suppose that I identify that I have problems to receive. I identify other programmings that are manifested through the pain on my hand. So through that, I can do an integration. But for example, if I have the pain and I start to focus on my hand, but I blame my hand, I blame life because I have that pain, in my hand, then I am doing this division, this separation that is not going to help me to move forward to unity, to do an integration. And this applies when we are talking about the ego. We are not separated from our identity, but many times the ego can create fragmentation by resisting, certain impulses of the soul, because the conditioned mind has its own programmings. So talking about the ego helps us to understand that we are much more than that, and that we can identify those programmings and those dialogues of the conditioned mind that are activated. We can identify them. We can detect them in order to not being identified with them, in order to understand that we are much more, by accepting them too. This is not about judging that part of ourselves or trying to reject it, or trying to turning off, like if it was a radio or something, a technological thing. But what I'm trying to say is that giving these structures, using concepts to give structures, helps us to do an integration. And that's how Saturn is showing us that we need to use structures and boundaries and limits. But when we use them to create separation, then that is not going to work. And that's what happened many times when we are going through limitations or obstacles, because we start to feel like threatened by those things. And Saturn is really showing us, in the case of Venus and in the case of the Sun, where we need to recognize our own value, where we need to, recognize our own capacities, our own abilities, where we have to work on to create this feeling of deserving, which is Venus. Through limitations on the outside that reflect us, the voice of the conditioned mind. And also it is linked, also this applies to the Sun, because the Sun is our vital force, our light. So Saturn is showing us through this tension where we should work on to, express our authenticity or our light, or to shine. What is preventing us from doing that? Which parts of ourselves are preventing us from doing that? Because the greatest obstacle is our conditioned mind, but we can reprogram it. We can change it by, at those moments, but not by not rejecting what is happening inside, but also putting boundaries, not feeding those parts of ourselves. And that's what Saturn is helping us to see. But well, as I said, we are going to have an increase these next days of this energy, and as I said, we could have this tendency of feeling separated from experiences on the outside. But Saturn works as a dad that, with a lot of love, have to show us in each level of consciousness that each other have, in which ways we need to grow and to develop spiritual maturity. So, well, family, I just wanted to leave this video here. Thank you, everyone, and see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.